back-ordered items. We have some chemistry, some colorful chemistry, and we have classifying creatures. And so those are on the docket to be the next components to be shipped out. You should have those by the beginning of next week, and which will complete all of the Pint Size Science modules. When you receive your module, inside of it, there will be a little checklist that shows items that are included in the module, and there quite possibly maybe something extra written on there. So there were, at the beginning of the year when we were putting the Science Sprouts modules out, there were some missing items. So those missing items, like the pipettes, might have been put into another module so we could get those shipped out to you. Or if you were missing the SD card, or you didn't get your lab coats or something like that, we included those in the module that we shipped out to you. So that's why sometimes there's some extra things in there. And if you have any questions about that, about why did I get this, or if I got the wrong thing, or I got an extra or something like that, please feel free to email us. I'll put the email in there, our Pint Size Science email. If you do that, it goes to me, and it goes to Lori, and it goes to Renee, so multiple people see it, so that we can help to address that for you. Okay, today during our webinar, towards kind of the end, we will be really excited to share with you some guest speakers. We have the family that started a company called Three Ducks, and it is a mother and two children that started a company, entrepreneurial opportunity here. The two students were high school students when they started their company, and their materials are in the Tiny Tinkers kit. I know not everybody selected Tiny Tinkers, but I think it's a great story to see how these high school kids came up with an idea for designing and building things using cardboard, and they started an entire company out of that. So we're going to hear them later today in our webinar, and as we go through that, also if you have questions, let me know, because I can filter those questions into Marcy and Ethan and Iana, so that we can get those answered. Okay, so again, make sure that you check in. I see a lot of people have done that in the group chat, that they're telling me who it is and where they're from, which is wonderful. So I'll keep track of all of that. And then also remember, as we're going through, if you have any questions, you can put those in the group chat as well. Okay, so Lori, whenever you're ready, you are welcome to switch it over to you. I'll be here, like I said, from Pittsburgh, helping out and answering any questions that I can.
Hi folks, sorry I was late. Was actually busy over at the warehouse trying to get you ready for, get more materials ready for you to receive. So hang on, where's my share screen? Oh, I gotta go down and press. Hold on just a second, gotta get in, there we go. Oh, okay, just a moment.
Over here.
Oh, hello. Sorry about the. Okay. All right. Okay. We're going to get it here, folks. This is the first one. There we go. All right. So I see you've got quite a few on here this evening, and I appreciate you guys taking time to join me, and we'll talk a little bit about things that are coming up. So again, this is the first of 4 supportive webinars that we're going to do for you. Okay. Okay. Oh, I'm going to go back. So these are the dates. I did realize, and I did send out a corrective email about the dates of them. I think I confused several people about Tuesday evening, but our Pint Size Science ones will always be on Thursdays from 4:30 to 6:30. You can go ahead and, send a chat, as Jolie said, anytime through this webinar. If you forget about asking something, you can always send us an email later, and we'll return that email as soon as possible. So the reason that we're looking at inquiry-based learning for Pint Size Science is to be able to share with children and allow children ways for them to use critical thinking skills. And I don't believe this is hyperlinked right now. I was working on it. Sorry about that, folks. But there's a good, this is a video from YouTube about why critical thinking is so important. And I'm going to just go and I'm going to find it here because it is a good video. And I was going to have this all loaded before I got here, and traffic was such a thing that I didn't have time to do it. So if you'll just bear with me here a little bit, I will pull that video up and we will watch it together. Oh. There it is. Okay, so we're going to watch this video a little bit here, and let me, hang on. So I need to share that with you. Well, pardon me, folks. I guess I cannot pull that up to this evening. I will try to share that with you through an email some point. It's not, oh, I'm sorry, there it is. Okay, that's my picture. So anyway, this is a good video, and I will send that out to you so you can see that. But it just talks a lot about how we need to give kids as much opportunity as possible to do critical thinking and to problem solve for themselves without jumping in right away and giving them the answers that that they can figure out for themselves. Let's see here. Next slide. Sometimes. Here we go. Okay, so this Three Ducks Design video is on the Three Ducks Design website, and it talks about how they got started. You can see the little colored connectors on those cardboard shapes that the kids are using. And I realized that not everybody got tiny tinkerers, but I think that it gives a good idea about how you can use either your make-dos or other building materials to get this same idea across for those of you who didn't get tinkerers and received the Three Ducks. So I want to hope that my hyperlink works here this time. There it is. Okay, so we're going to watch this a little bit, and let me get the volume up. Oh. Well, hold on just a moment. I'm sure you can't hear that because I can't hear that. Hold on just a moment. Those are the two kids that developed them, their brother and sister. There we go. Let's see, maybe I'm trying to find a volume button here. Send me a chat and let me know if you can see that on the screen, because I'm not sure it's not coming through. I apologize, folks. I'm not prepared here. No. Can't see and can't hear. Okay, that's what I was afraid of. So let me. I apologize. Well, hold on a minute, folks. Three ducks picture. Okay, that's what I was wondering. New share. Now I can't get it to. Well, I'm not sure what's going on with the volume on my thing. It is up as high as it will go. Well, hopefully the folks that are going to be speaking with us here soon, I'll let them know that it wasn't playing very well for me, and they can show it. They're going to be on about 5 o'clock, so we're going to go on and go back to our PowerPoint here. But you'll see the brother and sister that are going to be talking about how they got started and where their idea came from and how they're making a contribution to STEM education. So as Jolie was saying, each of you will be receiving your modules soon, and inside of each tote there will be an inventory sheet. So this is the Science Sprouts one, the version from last year, and each one of them will have one in it. What I'd like you to do is to go ahead and re-inventory your box when it comes, and then you can either scan those and email them back, or you can actually put them in an envelope and mail them back. And that way we know that we sent you everything you needed and that you received everything that you should have received, much like we did the Science Sprouts. You will also have investigation cards in each one of your modules. The missing Science Sprouts cards are also in those totes. So what I did was I grouped a school by name and put the Science Sprouts cards in for everybody in that school. So one person will be receiving the Science Sprouts cards for their colleagues, and if you would just share those out with the folks that also received Pint Size Science from your school, that would be very helpful. That way everybody got them at the same time, and you can use those then with your Science Sprouts however you see fit. This was the training framework module from training that we hope you're going to be able to see ways to use your materials in new and different ways. You can use the same pattern for any activity or any investigation that you want to present to your students. And be able to see how they're progressing through the different stages, and be able to see independence and growth, and be able to monitor their investigations and how well they are doing those on their own. Oh, sorry, the other. So this is, let me check our time. I think we have time to watch this, and I will try again to see if I can get this in when it stopped my share here and get into a website. I'm really curious why this isn't I'm trying the 3 ducks video again, but it's just not.
Laurie, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Laurie, try when you're selecting the video, when you're in your screen share, when you select it, there's a box in the lower left-hand corner that you click on to share the sound.
Okay.
And if you click on that, otherwise it won't know to pull the sound from your computer. It still wants to pull the sound from your microphone.
All right. So I need to do that on the
Yes.
3 ducks video.
Yes. So when you have that open to screen share it, it should have.
Okay. Yeah. Now I'm trying to get back to screen share.
So hover over at the very bottom. There's the share box it's green with an arrow, right? Or you have
yeah, I know what you're talking about, but I'm on the video and I don't see the screen share. I mean, I've got the video up on mine.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, folks.
Here, how about why don't I see if I can do it?
Okay.
And then
I don't.
Okay. So I'm gonna try it from here, Laurie.
Okay.
So if you spotlight me.
Okay.
So people can see me. Okay, you can see me. Okay, wonderful. So everybody, this is the website for 3 Ducks Design, and it is a wonderful place to find resources and ideas. And you're going to hear these young entrepreneurs talk about this global initiative here and about them and the work that they have been doing with young learners. And what we want to show you is this video that you can access and look at down here at the bottom. And this video is for their Kickstarter campaign that they built last year. So we're gonna watch this and let me know if you cannot hear the sound. I clicked on the sound button, we should be able to hear it, but let's see.
My sister and I are on a mission to inspire children to be thinkers, makers, and innovators.
Hi, my name is Ayana Klein, and this is my brother Ethan.
Together, we developed 3 Ducks Design architecture sets. We have been playing and creating ever since we were little kids. That's why when we were given a little bit of cardboard and our vibrant imaginations, we were able to create anything.
Last fall, we developed a product that encourages today's youth to think outside the box. Our 3D printed connectors have the ability to transform recycled cardboard into castles, kingdoms, characters, and communities.
One of the beautiful things about our product is that it really does truly integrate STEM, the core science and maths, with true art and design. Through my experience as a pediatrician, there are certainly children that are, better at math and sciences, and then there are other students where their skills lie in the humanities and the arts. Our products, especially with a more open-ended curriculum like architecture or urban planning, design thinking, really allows both students to work on the same project together on equal footing.
Without preset rules, children can imagine, design, create, and reimagine.
3 Ducks Design architecture sets blend sustainability, art, and design with STEM education. We have been humbled by the overwhelming responses from educators, parents, environmentalists, thought leaders, and the huge smiles from children.
I love 3 Ducks Design because I love building everything I really want.
We have won grants and awards, run events at schools, STEM programs, and museums. We have shared our experience with children, encouraging them to become thinkers, makers, and innovators.
And we are growing. In fact, we are outgrowing our ability to keep up with the demand.
This September, we will be launching our first Kickstarter campaign aimed to increase our in-house manufacturing. Join us on our journey to give today's youth the tools for a better tomorrow. You can help by sharing our story and supporting the cause. Be part of the team that is going to make a difference.
All right, wonderful. So now what we have is the opportunity to meet these young entrepreneurs. So Laurie, are you able to put them on spotlight so we can see Marcy?
I will certainly try.
I can see Yana there. I can see them.
Oh, I'm not seeing any.
Okay,
Oh,
I got it, Laurie. I can do it.
Okay.
Hi, everybody.
Okay, yay! There we go.
How are you?
So Marcy, as I shared with you earlier, this is a new group of teachers, so they were not part of the webinar that we did on Tuesday. So we would love for you to introduce yourself, and what I'll do is I'll toggle between you and Ayana so that everybody can hear from both of you. So please introduce yourself and tell us about what the amazing work that you're doing.
Okay. Great. Well, hi, everybody. For starters, my name is Marcy Klein. I am Ayana and Ethan over here's parent, and I haven't seen Ayana since 2 days ago at the last conference. So hi, Annie. I am a pediatrician, and I was very happy as a pediatrician for many years, and then my kids went and developed this product, and I've been helping them ever since, and I haven't looked back. It's been a great experience. They have grown so much themselves, but they've really put out a great educational product that has a lot of value for kids of all ages. So I'll let them tell you a little bit more about the product, but I'm here for back support in case they have questions that they can't answer. So nice to connect with everybody.
I'm Ethan. I'm a junior in high school, and I'm a co-founder of Three Ducks. Should I introduce yourself first, or?
Yeah, Ayana, maybe you can tell a little bit about yourself and the background.
Hi, my name is Ayana, and I am currently a sophomore at Washington University in St. Louis. So, yeah. So do you want me to start to talk about the company, I guess? Yeah, okay. So I think you guys just saw the Kickstarter campaign video. That was produced just about a year ago, a little over a year ago. So since then, we started a lot more programs and come up with some new products. So in the last, since our Kickstarter campaign, we've sold products to over 500 schools, maker spaces, and after-school programs all around the world. We've run the programs ourselves, and we've also worked with, by doing that, we've worked with hundreds and hundreds of students. And I'm also actually currently working at a new makerspace here in St. Louis. And I'm actually working with a group of kids to work to redesign their community. And they're also going to be working with actual St. Louis architects and engineers. They're elementary and middle school students. And they're going to be implementing some of what the students design their community into the actual St. Louis community. So the students will feel as though they've actually contributed to something in their community, and that's kind of just a nice thing that most kids don't have the opportunity to do. So our product, I don't know if you guys have gotten it here. I'll get a sample. So it consists of pre-cut cardboard pieces. You can see these pieces just pop right out. But the whole idea is that you can use your own recycled cardboard as well. So like recycled Amazon boxes, any one-ply cardboard. Then they also come with a bunch of different connectors. There's 6 different shapes here, just like 2, for example. There's like a right angle, 3 ways. There's a bunch of different ones. And the whole idea between that is I understand you guys are elementary school teachers, so this kind of just allows for students to understand basic geometry, but it can also get much more complex. So it's just basically, it's a very open-ended, creative, versatile modeling material. So part of the beauty of our product is that it uses these connectors which are reusable rather than tape and glue. And this allows kids to imagine, design, build, redesign their projects. And it shows kids that no, there's not a specific design process that's right or wrong. It's really just about using their imagination. And part of the incredible, most important thing for children to understand when they're starting at a young age is that right now schools really focus on just grades. And a lot of students like me, like personally, like I'm not a good test taker. Like I'm a more creative person and I understand material, but when I take a test, I'm not as good at it. So it's nice for them to be able to understand that there's other parts in life, and that even though our product is designed around STEM, it's also no matter what type of student they are. Like some students are stronger in the languages or English, and some are stronger in math and science. But each student has something to contribute to the project. So I'm going to turn it over to Ethan to talk a little bit about some of the other things.
So right now we're trying to take the company to the next level, and we're starting to put curriculum into our website. So if you want, you can head over to the Three Ducks University and you'll see all of our curriculum. But I can tell you about a few of them. So we have one called the Alphabet City, which is kids can build, they get assigned a letter and they can use the shapes that we have in the cardboard, and they can create all their letters and then they put them all together, and they have the full alphabet. Another one is Geometry 101, which teaches kids the basics of geometry, like the 6 different angles. So we have like 120 degrees and 60 degrees, and it'll show kids that if you put them together, it'll add up to 180 and it will be straight. And then we also have Design a Wilderness Shelter, which helps kids think about empathy, and how others will benefit from what they make. And it'll make kids like jump into someone else's shoes and see what their life would be like. And then for the older students, we have the Mars Windstorm Challenge, which is it focuses on aerodynamics, and if you have a fan blowing at your house, you don't want it to fall over, so you have to reduce the surface area, and simple concepts like that. And then we also have the Tiny House Challenge, which is to make a house that's 100 square feet, or actually 100 square inches. I think it has to be 100 square inches. And then after that, the kids will estimate the cost of the house by taking the surface area and multiplying the price into it. And then we also have Designing a Playground and Designing Peace, which are 2 other challenges that we have. And it promotes peace in child areas, or in areas of conflict.
Yeah, so I mean, I think Ethan's just giving you like a little bit of a range of the different programs and lesson plans that we have on our website. As he described, some of them are super open-ended and creative, like designing a hut in the wilderness or designing a community center. Others are much more math and geometry oriented, like the Tiny House Challenge or teaching the young kid angles. So just as an example, we have like a little house here that a kid would build. We can teach kids down to kindergarten different angles based on how open or closed the door is. So an acute angle, as you can see here, keeps the door kind of open. If they put an obtuse angle on, it would make the door really closed. So with this very simple house, you can teach a 4 or 5-year-old the different angles in a way that they actually understand that they're not just memorizing. So through 3D creative play, they actually get a much deeper understanding of geometry and spatial concepts.
So part of, so Ethan just gave you a little bit of background on some of our different curriculum lesson plans, but the whole idea is that our product can really bridge the gap between STEM and technology learning in the classroom and what people actually use in the real world. So for example, one of our lesson plans is our urban planning and curriculum lesson plan. This is actually the lesson that I'm kind of using-ish to with the students here in St. Louis. And the whole idea behind this is that students will actually build a replica of their city. It can be like their town, it can be another one, they can make their own. It's really open-ended. There is also some guidance if you want a specific version, but and after they work together to create this community, they can even like program a little robot to go through it and kind of just simulate how a person would go through their city. And you guys will also be having LED lights, our power pack, within your kits. And this includes the ability for students to be able to light up their homes. So like I remember when I was in elementary school, I think I was in like 5th grade or 4th grade, we were learning like the basics. The real world. So in our product, you can like light up your house, or you can, I mean, depending on which room has light and which ones don't, you can figure out what needs more power and that kind of stuff. So that's, you can also add by cutting different holes in our cord or your own. You can even do things like creating a pulley system. I remember doing that in elementary school, learning about pulleys, and that's a great learning process for students. You can add solar panels to their homes, like create smart homes with technology, all things like that. So it's a really fun product, and students really enjoy using it because they can kind of incorporate whatever they find most important to them or what they really enjoy doing the most. And then every student's a little bit different, so they're creating something a little bit different. Using their own imaginations, but then they can also combine their ideas and work together and learn teamwork. Do that. I'll turn back to Ethan. I think he has a few more things to say.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I think they gave you a good idea of what the product can do. There's a ton more if you want to do other things with it, but we're certainly happy to answer any questions that anybody might have, or you know, we're here to tell you more or whatever you want to know about it.
Okay,
sorry.
I'm sorry. Does anybody have anything that they would like to ask before we let these folks go? You can just unmute your mic there on your screen and control your own voice there.
I think, Laurie, I would like to point out that this is a really great example for our educators to see about children incorporating curiosity and wonder. And, you know, that's really what we're trying to inspire through Pint Size Science, and how to combine that with science and STEM content. So, you know, our young learners want to naturally be curious and to build and make things, and you could use these types of materials in order to facilitate that. And what's great is, especially the connectors using this cardboard, is it's a recyclable, responsible material to use, that once you're done building with it, you can just put it back into the recycle bin, right? So we're not using disposable things that we're just going to throw away when we're done necessarily. We do have a question, Marcy. Someone is asking, do you have any other products that you're working on? And also, by the way, I sent them all your website so that they can see that in the chat room. But if you have anything that you would like to share, and I can click over to your website if you want to show anything from there, if that would be helpful.
Yeah, no, I mean, at this point, I mean, there's always a balance when you're running a business of making more things. We actually specifically decided not to make a whole line of new connectors and new products, because we're trying to keep our product as simple, intuitive, and elegantly, you know, just basically back to basics. Using geometry and raw materials that you have in your home to create. So at this point, we have the 6 connectors and, you know, the different cardboard shapes. Just for example, like if you take any piece, just even like this, I mean, it's just an oval. If we created this in the shape of a person or a tree, that actually ruins the open-ended components of it. In this case, it could actually be a person, it could be a shrub, it could be pretty much anything that they want. They can cut it if they need to. So we try to keep it as simple and open-ended. Where we have put new products in the works is really through content. So we're really focused on keeping our content really open-ended, but yet giving kids a prompt or a challenge to kind of get them started thinking. And a lot of our challenges are based on real world problems. So our tiny house challenge is designed for small space living, and it's around a story about why we would want to live in a small space. So a lot of our challenges are parallel to real world situations that need solutions. So that's kind of the angle that we're going from. You can actually incorporate, we do have the LED lights, which is another component to our product line. But one of the nice things about our product is that you can incorporate many of the STEM products that you might have in your school already with our products. So rather than us making a new robot, the world has lots of robots. You can use any one of those robots with our products. So we make the city, and then you can incorporate other components. You can put solar panels on it. You can do wind turbines. You could do hydraulics and pneumatic pressure. You can create pulleys with poles and straws. We keep our product as basic as we can.
Great. We have another question. Knowing that I know you've worked with collaboratively with lots of different groups from lots of different places, both in a formal and an informal learning environment. There's a question in the group chat about the pieces being used over again. Have you seen examples of people, do they allow students to build and create something and then tear it down so that the pieces stay? Or do you allow those pieces to go home with the students? Have you seen variations of how people have handled that?
Yeah, so in schools, like in the makerspace, for the most part, most educators, because they don't want to keep buying new product, they keep the product in their space. They will sometimes buy refills of cardboard so that they have a nice white cardboard. Our cardboard is actually matte, so kids can paint it, color it with crayon marker. It takes up pretty much any coloring medium. So in schools, like in public schools, very often they like to keep the material there. After school programs, we have smaller kits actually. So this would be like one of our, what we call a retail kit, but we also use this for after school enrichment programs. And in this situation, kids would work collaboratively and they would open up their own kit, build whatever part of the city or whatever part of the project they're working on. And then the last week of the program or the last day of the program, they actually divide up their kits and then they go home with them. So that's another option. It really depends on, your school, the funding, and what you want to do with it. But if you tell kids from the very beginning they're not going home with it, there's not usually a problem, especially in a school.
Yeah. And I think just because I, had you speak with our Making STEM Connection awardees also on Tuesday, I would love to ask the question again. If Ethan and Iana would like to talk about what is your future plan? What are you thinking for yourself? And what about this project has excited you about the future?
Iana, do you want to answer that?
Sure.
Yeah. Right now I'm still in college. Honestly, I have no idea what I want to do in life yet. I love working on 3 Ducks. I think it's been a really great experience. I've met so many interesting people, and I love working with the kids and teaching them. So I definitely want to keep working on 3 Ducks and improving the company and adding new things to it. Right now, I just started this global initiative program that basically the whole idea behind that is connecting schools with each other and showing that all people are really just the same and there shouldn't be anything bad that happens in the world. I'm really looking to do that. One of my dreams for the company would be able to go to travel around to all these different schools all around the world and work with the students and teach and explain to them how to use our product, and even give the teachers some more substance on our company. So, I really don't know what I want to do in life per se, but that's kind of my goals for the future. For me, it's, honestly, it's not about making money and types of working in the aspect of working on the company is really just about bringing together in communities and teaching them that that they can really learn from each other and work together and kind of just create something different in the world and a way to connect them all. So
Wonderful.
that's my.
How about you, Ethan? What are you thinking about?
It's good to say.
I'm still in high school, so I definitely want to go to college. I would be really interested in going to business school and learning a lot more about entrepreneurship and creating companies, possibly the economic side of starting companies. And then for Three Ducks, I like working with students. Like Ayana said, I would love to go traveling around the world, helping students around in classes everywhere and bringing people together, creating a community.
Yeah. One of the things that we're doing with our curriculum, we're actually very soon going to be launching a pilot of, it's an adaptation of our community program, or the Ayana's Architecture and Urban Planning program, where we take kids through what is community, what it means to them, what their own community is like, and what might be some of the problems in their community in a very student-centered project-based learning platform. But one of the unique parts of that program is going to be that each classroom will be allowed their own webpage on our closed community site, so that as opposed to in some programs where the kids will finish a project and then they present it to their class or maybe even the parents, and then at the end it's done. I can't tell you how many science projects I have stored underneath my double bed in the guest room. There's no room left for the cat. In our model, their projects will go on forever, and they'll actually be used to teach other kids around the world. So you can get a little bit of a glimpse of that from Ayana's global program over the summer, which was almost like the pre-pilot, and it's worked really well. We have schools from 4 different locations that have added content, which you can access through the website. It's called the Global Initiative, and then there's a map there with stars, and the gold stars are completed projects, and each community, like we have one from Mabita, Kenya, and one from Benin, which is a country in West Africa I had not heard of before. Ayana discovered it, and students in Benin actually shared a lot about their culture, and they taught us, even me, I didn't know that that's where voodoo came from and what voodoo is all about, but they actually created a model of one of their spirits and explains what the spirit is like and why the spirit exists, through model making and storytelling, and how empowering to these children. If you look at the children, they have no shoes, but yet they feel empowered that they have this knowledge that they can share with the rest of the world. So we're going to be using that concept and a closed community within Three Ducks where kids can share each other's content and teach each other.
I think, Marcy, I think that's so great. I love that you brought in the world connection, because I think that allows us to look at social studies and how that can be connected in this work too. And that in our trainings that these teachers all participated in over the summer, we talked about how we need to break down the silos of learning and not just look at this as science time and just math time and just reading and just social studies, and these kind of opportunities bring those all together. I want to thank you too. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, silo is the exact word I use, where they walk from class to class and nothing is connected. But if you look outside the window, life doesn't work that way. And that's kind of, you know, even though our product is considered a STEM product, the STEM subjects are really just a pathway to get to the end project. They need to learn those to get to the end product. The end product is not learning STEM, it's just the pathway. So that's kind of what the whole concept is about. So you said it exactly right. It's our philosophy.
And I'm so grateful that we found you. And I tell people that at NSTA last year in St. Louis, that I saw you in this huge exhibit hall of all this big business, and here was this little table with Marcy and her cardboard connectors. And I was like, tell me more. And as soon as I saw that material, I said, yes, that's exactly what we need to provide our teachers. And we're so excited. It not even, I mean, just the material itself is exciting, but to know that your children developed this this company, and are perpetuating that and reaching people all over the country and all over the world, is inspirational. And I hope that that's also something that our teachers get from this experience, is that children have this power, and if we support them through this kind of thinking and these opportunities, look at the amazing things that they will be able to come up with. And think of all the students that have been inspired by not only the product, but by your children in this case. I mean, it's just really great. So we are very appreciative of your time. Excited to work with you, and I'm excited for the teachers to be able to begin to use these materials. They will have already received them and see what amazing things their students are able to come up with.
Yeah,
so
we're excited to see what you guys come up with. Send us
Yeah.
photos, please. We love getting feedback.
Will you guys be going to NACI next year? Isn't it in St. Louis? Maybe we'll come down and visit.
Which one is that?
NACI, it's the young children's one. We'll talk about it, but I thought maybe I can come down and visit Ayana while I'm down there.
Well, yes, I didn't know that that's where it was, but yes, I might have to do another 16-hour road trip with our little booth. Luckily, it'll probably still be a small booth, because I don't think my car could hold a big Lego size booth.
Wonderful. All right. Thank you again, both of your groups. Thank you so much for talking with us. And we're just really excited to be able to work with you. So thank you again very much.
Yeah, nice kind of meeting you guys.
Thank you.
Bye. Have fun, Ayana. Good night.
Okay, Laurie, we can go back to you. Wonderful.
Oh, sure. We're going to go back to the PowerPoint, and well, where did it go? I'm sorry. This is just not a good night for me, evidently.
Okay. I can do it, Laurie. Laurie,
Yes.
I can do it from here.
Okay.
I believe. Let's see.
Those of you that are viewing, don't judge the webinars on this night's performance, because
maybe I can't. Okay, if you go under, Laurie, if you go under the share,
yes,
you should be able to click on that and see all of the different options. And what you should see is your computer. I know I kind of took over from here, but you should be able to see your computer, your screen that you're working off of.
well, I'm clicking it, but it's not loading up. Oh, here we go. Let's try this. There we go. And I will put it up big and into.
If you click on the.
I'm trying to make it into big, but there's a drop-down menu that keeps. There we go. Ah, there we go. So can you? This is a picture of Kate Harriman. Those of you who also got Tiny Tinkers received her book, the Makerspace, on Makerspaces, Making and Tinkering with STEM, Solving Design Challenges with Young Children. And that book is really full of a lot of different ideas about using materials such as cardboard and found objects, and how to let kids really create their own solution to things, and to be able to do their own thinking. Your module materials, or your kit materials, are, as Jolie said at the beginning, we're shipping them out as fast as can get them put together. So those of you that have received them, I've had some feedback about how much you are enjoying them, and I do have notes from emails and the trainings about things that you're missing, or when's this coming or when's that coming. And I do try to get back to the office after working at the warehouse, getting materials put together, and yesterday and today have fell behind responding to emails, but I will try to catch up tomorrow. But just know that they're on their way, and I've got volunteers tomorrow to finish some out, and they will be coming to you. So if you haven't received anything yet, just know that in the next 2, 3, 4 days, Pint Size Science materials should be reaching you. And if you have any questions or things like that, be sure to let me know. So I went on to YouTube and I tried to find this, and I'm going to see if I can pull this video up because it is fascinating with how to use STEM in a preschool level with just your a book about 3 little pigs, and I bet this isn't going to work. Hang on. No, pardon me. Let me go back to Zoom. Share. Let me see if it'll share this way. Here we go. Okay, so this is the engineering with the 3 little pigs. Well, Jolie, thoughts about the sound?
Is it playing the video, Laurie?
It is, and I hit the share button, but it's not making any, on the second monitor, it's not playing. So I know you guys aren't seeing it.
Okay.
It is on mine, but it's not sharing, even though I hit share desktop.
Okay, let's see if I can find it.
Okay. It's not working on my end at all.
Okay, can you go back, Laurie, and I go back to you being on the screen?
Okay. Sure.
Okay.
All right.
Let's see if I can find it.
See, when I share, it's opening on my computer, but it's not opening.
Okay. Hold on. I think I got it, Laurie. So let me see if I can. Okay. I got it.
Okay, thank you.
Young children are natural scientists, curious about the world around them and readily inclined to discover new things. While many of us think about STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, as learning that begins in elementary school, the foundation for STEM thinking and STEM processes can be nurtured and developed well before children enter kindergarten.
How about we get some more Play-Doh?
Maybe you can take some Play-Doh from the bottom to use for the top.
When we think about introducing STEM in early childhood, it is not about setting aside an extra segment of time to address STEM topics, when the day is already packed full of activities. Instead, the goal is to integrate STEM processes into the daily routine and into one's early childhood curriculum.
These are not strong enough. We can play the colors.
Well, how do you think you can get them to stay up, Noah?
Play-Doh!
The introduction of STEM thinking is about giving young children opportunities for active, hands-on exploration and experimentation, and building their critical thinking, prediction, and problem-solving skills. Educators need not be STEM experts to offer learning experiences that pique young children's curiosity and nurture their penchant for discovery.
Yes? All right, who knows the story before we get this? Do you guys like this story? Yeah, that's a pretty fun book, right?
Early childhood educators can use books, going to the library and choosing a book to enhance their STEM activities. Nearly every children's book you pick up, and if you start reading through it, you'll find some inkling of a STEM experience that you could try with children.
Meanwhile, the third pig remarked, "It's very nice, but I still don't think it's strong enough." So the third little pig searched everywhere. "What can I find that will be better than sticks?" he wondered. What did he use? Bricks. Do you think that that's a better idea?
Yeah. He's the
why?
smartest pig.
He's the smartest pig.
Because it's strong.
We read The Three Little Pigs today because it's a really good story about how the building process works and what makes a good house, what are good engineering ideas. So we read that for the kids so that they could kind of jump off of that and decide how they wanted to build their house with what materials. Little pigs, let me in. No, they shouted. What did they say?
Not gonna
Then I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house in. Ready? But did that work? No, so he tried again. In today's activity, we looked at different structures and how they were being built. We also talked about, the structures that the kids live in, what they're made out of: brick, wood, stone. And then we brought it all together in an activity where they could make their own houses and see what materials they would use. So we really did all of this to kind of bring it back to STEM and bring it back to engineering so that the kids could get, their own hands-on experience. What do you think a good house needs? Bricks? What else do you think it needs? Stone? Maybe sand?
The houses are all going to look different. Some of them are going to collapse, but that's part of the scientific method. Sometimes when something fails, it's not a bad thing. You want them to go back and try again, and that's what we really want children to understand, is that if something doesn't work the first time, it's not a big deal. It means we're going to learn a lot more by going back and figuring out what did not work and then making some changes.
Juliana, how do you think we can make these stronger so they don't fall down next time?
I know, we can make some more Play-Doh.
We love having the kids work in teams in our classroom just so that they can build those interpersonal skills and learn how to work together. And it really helps them when they get stuck. They don't know what they're doing or how to build a house. They can ask their friend for advice, or they can see what their friend is doing and kind of build off on that.
What about we all build together? I'm building like this. But I can't open up this blue. I don't know.
We just observe them and just watch and ask them open-ended questions, seeing what is their thinking process, because that's really what we want to see. We want to see the process, not the end product. So we want to see how they're thinking through everything.
So do you guys have a roof and a floor? It has It can't even blow down like
and some doors.
Yeah. You gotta
figure out how to stick it on your house.
When doing an activity like the Three Little Pigs, when children have spent a lot of time building a house and they're excited to, look what I made, and they want everybody to see what they've made, they may not want to do the next part, which I found extremely exciting, is to blow it down and see whether it stands. So if a child doesn't want it to be blown down, you leave it. Or you can take photographs of it to allow them to keep a picture of their house, respect the children's wishes.
So the big bad wolf said, I'll huff, and I'll puff, and I'll blow your house down. Try to blow it down. Did it fall over?
Okay. Okay, Laurie?
Yes, I'm
All
here.
right.
All right. So, reflections about that, ideas that brought to mind, or books that you have in your classroom that you could do the same thing with, and be able to encourage those STEM ideas. Does anyone want to talk about any of the things that you would like to share? Maybe give other ideas to folks that are watching as well that could use those in their classroom. Okay, we've got, let's see, Abby says, just put an idea into the chat room that using the three billy goats graph and building strong bridges. That's an excellent idea. Actually, our preschool at the Science Center was working on that. They built Lego structures and taped pictures of the goats on each structure. So you had maybe 3 Lego blocks put together for the baby goat, maybe 5 for mama goat or the middle goat, 6 or 8 for the big billy goat graph. And then they built the bridges to see how supportive the bridge was compared to those 3 different weights of Legos, to see which one which weight would either make an indentation or make the bridge sway a little bit or sag a little bit, or if they could build it strong enough that the goat could go across it without affecting the structure of the bridge. So that's a really good book as well to use. All right, here's another one in the chat room, The 5 Little Pumpkins. Build the fence and put the pumpkins on the gate. That would be another good way to do it. Anything that, gets kids to ask, well, what if we did this? Well, why did that happen? And then be able to talk through some possible solutions. Any other ideas that are coming to your mind? I think anything that involves building, even if the book doesn't intentionally talk about building, any component that you can bring out of a book to have kids build and then challenge their creation for strength, or with the make-dos that you get with the engineering kit. You can challenge them to build something that would hold, something in your room, maybe hold a book or hold up, something that might be found in your centers, or some manipulatives that you have in your room, and give them that challenge to see if they can put together structures that would respond to that weight.
Laurie, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Some ideas that we could look at too. I mean, think about, we just talked about a building product, 3 ducks, right? And so that's using cardboard to build. So that might go with one of the building activities you were talking about. But I think it's something else really important that she even talked about in the video, and I could easily see in these examples that some of the teachers have given, is the importance of failure. So what happens when something doesn't work out the way that you thought, or it doesn't perform the way you had planned? And seeing the example of that in literature, seeing an example of that in the book, and then thinking about how did we address that? I mean, 3 Billy Goats Gruff is a great example of, the 3 different goats trying to do the same kind of thing, and what did they learn from that? And I think that's an important concept that we can talk about too, is the importance of failure and what do we learn from that failure, because that can be really frustrating for students when things don't work out well, and we have an opportunity to kind of change that and help them to look at it instead of failure, but something that we learned from the process.
Correct. Very good. That's right. And so, teachers, are you supportive with kids and help them see the value of failure? Or as teachers, I think we want to jump right in and make things all better for our students and give them the answers that they are seeking, because we don't want them to be a failure. But in a mind growth sort of way, they need to know that it's an okay thing, that it's that many popular and famous people have failed, that it doesn't always work out right the first time. So I would encourage you to see about letting them struggle a little bit, find their own solutions or iterations to things that they've made to make it better, or to make it improve it in whatever way they're looking for. So I'm going to go back here to, pardon me, the PowerPoint here. All right. So a little bit here about the lab coats. A lot of you were able to receive your lab coats. Again, if you had missing ones, those first few trainings before we were able to get them in, those are coming to you. So be looking out for those in your totes that are coming. I do also want to let you know that I have had some interest in ordering additional lab coats. If you are interested in that, you can let me know through email. I can send, if you didn't get the order format training, then I would be happy to send that to you, and you can let me know how many, what sizes, whether they're adult or child coats that you're needing. And then I'm going to send all of those orders in together, because it will be a lot more efficient for the printing company to make a large order and then us, you know, divide them up when they come in, and then we'll send them out to you. So if you're interested in that, either email Jolie or I, and we will make sure that we get some additional lab coats to you, if that is something that you would like to have for your school. So in your Science Sprouts kits, you also included, we included a variety of bouncing balls for you to do the exploration with your children. And I'm really interested, if some of you don't mind sharing, have you been able to do this with your kids? And if so, what was the result? What kinds of things did your students learn? What kind of ideas did they come up with about how to change the investigation, or how about, you know, even new ways of taking data? Has anyone been able to do that yet this school year? Let me see, I've got some chats here. Okay. Oh, we have someone else that is talking about the gingerbread book as a STEM lesson. So that's a good idea as well. I think building literature into your science and technology and engineering and math is a good way for kids to use vocabulary and attention span and things that come with reading, and then transfer those same skills across the line to other types of investigations that they are doing. So as you well know, when you received your information about receiving the award first and being able to pick what you would like, the first grouping as you see, are Bits and Bots, Colorful Chemistry, and the Tiny Tinkerers. So Bits and Bots and Tinkerers have already gone out. And so if you would unmute your microphone, I'd like to get a little conversation going about ways that you might have already used your materials in your classroom, and maybe share some findings that your students came up with, so that other teachers that are listening maybe could learn from you. If you would be so brave as to do that, we would appreciate it. I know it's hard in this kind of a format to share, but I think it's important to learn from one another, even though we're spread across the state. Okay, I don't see anyone wanting to share, so that's all right. The next session, we're going to talk about the Center 3 from Group 2. Many Meteorologists has gone out, and Homes and Habitats has gone out. Classifying Creatures is very close to being ready to ship, so we will get those to you just as soon as possible. And then, of course, from Group 3, all 3 of those have shipped. So we're very close to having all of the materials in your hands and being able to start really using these in the classroom. Now, for those of you that are receiving Fascinating Farmers, I had sent out an email asking if you would like a fall shipment or a spring shipment. And what we decided to do with the company that we're working with is they are going to actually be sending us some codes that we will send out to you. We will assign each one of you that got the farmer's kit a code. And then whenever you want to order your worms and compost bin and accessories, you can do it whenever it's convenient for you. We felt that this way it was respecting your timeline as far as curriculum, and some people like it in the spring because it goes along with seeds and planting and gardening, and that way it's the company that we're going through can prepare those and get those out, and not have to do 100 at a time. So as soon as we get those codes, we will be sending those out to you. And again, at your leisure, you can contact the company directly, use your code, and it'll be already prepaid. And then you can get your compost and your worm farm up and going whenever it's convenient for you in your classroom.
Laurie?
Yes.
So Dawn was talking about in the group chat, she was talking about how she is using the materials. And I know that Dawn works in an informal, she works in the library system. And so we asked Dawn if maybe she could share about some of the work that she is doing. And so I think what we can do is we can go through and unmute her, and Dawn can maybe tell us about what she has been doing. So I think.
Okay, yep, I see her. Let me do that for you, Dawn. Okay, Dawn, can you hear me?
Dawn, you may need to unmute yourself, like your computer itself, perhaps. Let's see if we can put her on the spotlight.
Okay. She's not coming up as a spotlight.
Hold on.
She's unmuted though.
I got it.
Okay.
Um,
No.
oh, maybe she's not using video. That could be.
Okay.
Okay, hold on. Hmm. Let's see. Let's see. Dawn.
While Jolie's working on that, we have another contribution to the chat room that says that they're planning on doing an introduction with the What is Science book and investigate the science tools from the Pint Size Science kit. And I think that's a great start because children may not have seen those items in the Science Sprouts kit. I hope at training it was stated that those Science Sprouts materials can be used with tiny tinkers. Some of those materials can be used with the chemistry collection of materials. And so use that Science Sprouts kit as your foundation, and then connect and pull from it anything that you think might help or support what are in the other titles. The beakers, could help pour in the chemistry kit. You'll get the milk solute or the powdered milk, and you maybe want to mix the milk up in the beakers, and it gives the kids a little more support in pouring. But yeah, that's what the Science Sprouts kit is aimed to do, is to be that foundation for the other materials. How are you doing, Jolie? Did you fix that?
I'm still talking with Dawn.
Okay, so I did have a question here that is a good for everybody to know. They wanted to know, will everybody get the Science Sprout kit? Everybody does get the Science Sprout kit. You should have received one when you attended training. If you did not get a Science Sprout kit at training, wherever that location was, please let us know that, and we will get one out to you. But yes, I'm sorry.
I want to interrupt for just a moment. Mm-hmm. It's not necessarily that every person gets a Science Sprout kit. It's every award.
Every award, yes. I need to specify that, yes.
If your school was awarded a kit, one Pint Size Science kit, then somebody from your school should have received that Science Sprout kit at the training. Yes. And then you selected the other 3 modules. So it's based on each award, not necessarily each person.
That good clarification. Thank you. So if you're teaching on a grade level where there might have been only one person receiving an award, then that one Science Sprout kit would be something that you would need to share if the recipient of the award, if you've got that agreement with her or him. Okay. Okay, Lisa, and in response to your last comment there, send me an email or send Jolie an email, either or, and let us know what you didn't get, because all of that was the materials that I just mentioned, the beakers and all of that, should have been in each Science Sprouts kit. And you should have done an inventory at training, pardon me, that should have come back to the Science Center. And if you didn't get something, let me know, and I'll be happy to get those to you. Pardon me.
Laurie, Dawn typed out some things since we're having trouble with her audio and video feed. Oh, sorry, we're asking Dawn to do that. But it looks like Lisa also has something. Maybe we can read that and discuss that. Leslie, sorry.
Yeah. So yes, I saw that. Excuse me. Leslie said that, and it's in the chat room so you can all see it, but she was talking about starting out with an introductory science lesson a few weeks ago. They read Added Twist, and the students drew the picture of the scientist. We put out all the materials from the Science Sprouts kit and let the kids freely explore. And then after they explored, they talked as a group about what scientists do and how they investigated and measured and observed. And then the students drew the picture of themselves as scientists, which is great because it puts them in that mindset of I'm a scientist. Shared both writings on Seesaw. Oh, great, you use Seesaw, excellent, with their families. And the kids loved exploring and getting to try on the lab coats and the goggles. I think that's great because, you know, we don't point out to kids that they are a scientist. And the book that you received in the Science Sprouts kit, the inquiry from Trevor McKenzie, states in there that it's really a good idea to point out to the kids when they are doing science or when they are doing math or when they are being an engineer or a scientist, because it brings that to their mind. They're going through the steps of that, but then it's putting in their mind that, oh, this is what that profession would do. And then they become they kind of own that persona of, oh, I was an engineer, I was a scientist. And they then become connected to that. And so anytime you see your students doing science or doing math or doing engineering, you know, bring that, you know, use your parallel and self-talk and let them hear you verbalize that that's what you see them doing. And you can do that right along with your questioning and observations that you're making with them, because that is a great way to point out to them that they are doing what grown-ups do. It's just on their level. Do we have anything from Dawn yet?
No.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to go back here then. Oh, so let's go back a couple of screens here. So bits and bots. I wanted to share with you a couple of ideas. I did a class this spring with some participants that took and got the award last year, and some of them are repeats this year, so I don't know if you're online or not tonight, but the bits and bots, I had a teacher that connected the bits and bots to Earth Day, and she laid out a grid on her floor with tape. It was a tile floor, and at the start of the grid, each box had a kind of trash in each box, a picture of it. And then throughout the various squares in her grid, because she had tape going both directions, there was a picture of a recycling canister or tote or something that each of those materials could get recycled into. Then she took her blue bots and she had her associate make kind of like a top hat that would fit down over her blue bot. And then the kids could use found objects, cardboard tubes, pieces of, Dixie cups, pipe cleaners, tongue depressors, craft sticks, whatever you have in your room. Then they could build a robot. They glued the robot on top of this little top hat, and then they would figure out which piece of trash they wanted to recycle. And then they had to figure out their code. They had to code their blue bot to get to the receptacle that particular piece of garbage needed to go in. And of course, there were tree obstacles in some of the grids, and there were rocks in some of the grids, or, it wasn't just a straight path. They had to figure out how to go left, right, forward, or backward with the blue bot. They programmed the blue bot, put the top hat and robot down over it, and then let the blue bot go. And so it was like they were using coding in a fun and new way, but then they were also talking about recycling and how to take care of the earth on Earth Day. So I thought that was a great connection, using the technology of the blue bot to a social studies unit or a science unit that you wouldn't necessarily have thought of. So that's just one idea that was shared during our spring class. The group of chemistry, as you saw at training, you're going to get really a large collection of things, and some of those are, once they're used up, they will need to be replenished, but we've attempted to keep your replenishment fee under $50. So that is hopefully doable for a lot of schools. The Alka-Seltzer that's going to be provided for the Alka-Seltzer rockets are going, it's going to last a long time, because you only use a quarter of a tablet generally for one investigation. You'll get the powdered milk and the food coloring to do the colored milk experiment, and the dish soap as well will go with that one. You have in there two different books, two different levels of books. One is intended for the older children, first grade, second grade. The other one is more basic. It's got some really good definitions in it, but you can use it however it fits your students the best. The other things that come in there are your gloves, so that kids can be, safe around the hot plate that comes with it. And then also you're going to get I just drew a blank, I'm sorry. Oh, Q-tips will also come for the milk experiment. This is a good one to use your hot and cold packs from your Science Sprouts kit, because you can use that with the ice cube tray that comes in chemistry. You can freeze an ice cube and then compare it maybe to the temperature of a frozen hot cold pack that came in your kit. So that's a good thing to pull from your Science Sprouts into your chemistry. Tiny tinkerers, you'll have the low temp glue gun and the glue sticks. So the gloves that come in chemistry, if you don't have both chemistry and the tinkerers, the glue sticks and the low temp glue gun should be really safe. You don't want the kids to squirt the glue on their hands, of course, but it's not going to burn like it would a higher temperature glue gun. Of course, with tinkerers, you're investigating light and sound, so the books that are provided help with that as well, and gives kind of a foundational knowledge for that. And then, of course, the materials, the boom whackers and the sound tubes, flashlights, and the mirrors can help with, learning about reflection. The aluminum foil and cling wrap and parchment paper, you can use the flashlights with those materials and see what light does with that. Does it go through? And if it does, is it as clear with one product as it is with the other product? So those are just a few materials that are coming in those particular kits. I would really like to get some feedback from you in the bits and bots. The code hopper game is the first time that we have put that in. So I'm interested and would appreciate some emails back to see, how your kids are using it and how they're enjoying that. We liked that because it was a low tech kind of way to learn coding. And I've shared the book Gabby that comes in the bits and bots with a lot of the volunteers because they say that they have children at home, and as they're putting our kits together with me, they're seeing some of the products that you are getting. And so I'm sharing a lot of different ways that we're using those in classrooms across the state. And this year's the first year for Gabby, her If Then Garden. So I'm really hoping that there are things that you will share with us as you're using your Bits and Bots kit. The other thing that I was going to also ask, and I don't know if this was said at training or not, but to go ahead and send pictures to the Pint Size Science social media pages, and then that way we can share those out with other teachers across the state and be able to show how those products are being used. Because as it was stated at training, we don't give you a lesson plan booklet per se. We give you the activity cards that will give you a start, and we really are interested to see how do you bounce off of those activity cards. What different ways do your children come up with learning about the concept of that module, and whether or not they can find other things to represent that learning other than the things that you get in your module kit. Jolie, do you have anything else to add to that?
Yeah, I'd love to share what Dawn typed to us. Dawn shared with us, we were trying to connect with her, but we weren't able to make that work. But she typed in the group chat, and here's what she shared. She said, I'm a public librarian, and Heidi from Extension Office and I take Pint Size Science into the pre-K 4-year-old classrooms once a month. Yesterday, we introduced them to tools scientists might use to observe, compare, investigate, and more. We talked about how we are all scientists and science is all around us. We do a different theme each month that goes along with the teacher's curriculum as much as possible. We do weather, insects, 3-state reactions, animal classifications, light and sound, and more. This year, we're adding coding. This is our 5th year of collaborating with the schools thanks to this program. And this year we have 18 pre-K 4-year-olds in both classes. And I know that Dawn shares the activities that she has been working on the Facebook page, and she is a wonderful source of inspiration. I love to see the new and exciting things that she is able to do, and it's a great example of a collaboration, too, between an informal institution such as a library and another informal of Extension Office. So remember that you have those resources in your community, and see who are the Extension Office people that have also participated in Pint Size Science, or who else can you partner with in your community. And as Laurie was saying, we highly encourage you to share on Facebook. Remember, this is a closed page. So the purpose is for you all to support each other and give each other ideas and ask each other questions and look for suggestions and really grow our collective knowledge in this process. And it's always great to hear about what somebody else tried, even if it doesn't work the way you thought. Remember earlier our conversation about failure, right? And let's celebrate failure. It is perfectly okay and great for us to learn from. I tried this, it didn't go as well as I thought. Next time I might do this, or I tried it a second time and this worked out better. Those are great things to share as well. And if you haven't already joined the page, you can do that, and I will go through and approve you. That's how it's a closed page. So just ask to join, and then I will go through and approve it so that you can see all of the resources that are on the Facebook page. And don't forget about Twitter too. Twitter is a great place. And also, this is just a little hint. Let's say that you use the 3 Ducks products. You can tag 3 Ducks. So you can do a hashtag or an @ 3 Ducks, and then they will oftentimes retweet your work. So then you get even more people to see the amazing work that you're doing with your students. So, yeah, and Dawn also added another comment. She said, and don't be afraid to add your own ideas and materials with what you get in the kits to enhance what you're sharing. Absolutely. The Pint Size Science materials are meant to be kind of a resource of materials that support an idea or a theme, but you might have other things, and it would be great for teachers to hear, oh, I never thought about using that in conjunction with this. That's really great too. And I'm going to, Sarah is asking about the Facebook page, and I will type the title of the Facebook page in the group chat so that you can see it. And what you do is you just ask to join it. It's SCI, Pint Size Science for Educators. And I'll type it into the chat, and then you just ask to join, and then I will go and approve you. So I'll add that in the chat right now.
And it really is interesting to see the creativity that you guys have as classroom teachers, librarians, extension office employees, because and I think that's why these webinars are so valuable too, is that if you share your ideas either through these webinars or on social media, that it just gives other teachers really good ideas to try as well. I'm a former teacher, early childhood teacher, taught for 20 years, and you just kind of think, my goodness, I've done it all. And then when someone comes up with an idea that you hadn't thought about, you thought, well, why didn't I think of that? That's a great idea. I'll give that a try. And I just wanted to share the story of another teacher that was in this spring class that I took. And I know a few trainings that I did last year with teachers, you know, I heard a lot of, oh, I can't do this. There's not enough time. How in the world do you fit it in? And it's as the video that we saw said, it's not to be an addition to your day. It's intended to be incorporated into what you're already doing. So you have story time, and you just bounce off of what you already do, but you bring in the maybe the engineering component like the video did. But this particular teacher, she is a self-inclusive special ed teacher. And this past year, she had all boys. She had 7 first grade boys. And she herself was amazed about the development that she saw in those boys, because they began to own their learning. And it wasn't that she was stepping back and letting them do everything for themselves, but she shared a lot of pictures about them using the magnifying glasses from Homes and Habitats, looking at frogs' eggs that she brought in from her pond. And they kept them in the room, and they watched them turn into tadpoles, and then into you know, they watched the evolution into a frog. And she said, at the beginning of the year, if you would have told me I could have left those things out on my table in my science area, she said there wouldn't have been any way. But she gradually went into it. And the book that you get from Trevor McKenzie is very instrumental in teaching you how to do that. You start in the shallow end of the pool. You don't jump into full inquiry-based learning, just like your kids aren't going to jump into full inquiry-based learning. You've got to move together into that, from structured to guided to free inquiry. And some of your kids might not ever get there. Your classroom may be of an age or a developmental level that you're just not going to get to free inquiry, but they will definitely make strides towards being more, having more free inquiry if you work together. So she was amazed by the end of the year how well her students acclimated to the freedom and how they became responsible for that freedom. And she said it was like a whole different classroom. So you kind of take it a little at a time, and by the end of the year, your classroom might look a lot different. To other people, it may look chaotic, it may sound noisy, but if you know that the kids are on task and they're doing what is interesting to them, it's a good noise and a good chaos. So I just wanted to share that from her as well. Does anyone else have anything else that you want to add to the chat room? It looks like we're getting really close on time here. I do apologize for the rush and the technological difficulties. I will make sure that next time it's not like that. But let me go back to my PowerPoint here. And we'll go through these again. Oh, hold on, please. There we go. So that's all for tonight that I have. We do want you to know that these are intended to give you, the specific information about your modules, and we want to be a support system for you as you bring the curiosity and innovation and creativity into your classroom. So if you have questions that you haven't thought of this evening, and they might come to you before the next webinar, just go ahead and send an email and we'll get those answered for you. Again, we're hoping to ship out some more materials very soon.